I'm Dana Denha, and this is Let's Watch with the Ann Arbor Film Festival, voted North America's #1 film festival by USA Today. It's an exciting time during Festival Week where people from all over the world come to Ann Arbor to support our local film fest. Now let's go chat with some of the filmmakers and film buffs to see what all the buzz is about. I'm here with Tess Elliot at the opening reception for the Ann Arbor Film Festival, and she's got an exciting project right here behind us. Why don't you tell me a little bit about this art installation you have here?
Sure. It's part sculpture, part virtual reality piece, kind of a cinematic narrative embedded in the virtual reality, and it deals with the narrative of manifest destiny, the Western frontier as a kind of cinematic space, and then tying in kind of the contemporary condition of climate change and private space programs. So it kind of weaves all those things together within this technological frontier of VR.
Can you tell me about the images that you're seeing in the VR, or did you create those images? Or?
Yeah, I created everything that's part of the piece. I actually, when you first enter the VR, you'll see a scene that's kind of desolate, very snowy, very stormy kind of landscape. That's actually Ann Arbor, and then you end up on Mars, and that's kind of the trajectory of the VR.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what led you to becoming sort of like an art installation virtual reality creator?
Sure. So I began as a painter, and then in undergrad I was interested in photography and experimented and did some sculpture and video and things like that. And then in grad school I attended Ohio State's art and technology program, and so then got kind of immersed in digital worlds and got my teaching job down in Oklahoma, and so now I'm kind of exploring this new frontier of VR and these kind of emerging technologies as a kind of creative artistic space.
Why do you feel like the Ann Arbor Film Festival is a great landscape to portray something like this?
So I was excited about their off-the-screen program, and that's what I submitted this to, because it allows for work that's, within a kind of conversation with cinematic work, but that is either new media or somehow installation based. And so I think that's why this piece kind of works here. So
what are you most looking forward to while you're here this week?
A lot of the animation programming. I'm really looking forward to that. I teach animation, and so I'm excited to be immersed in it.
I'm here with Vado Vergara, and this is his first time in the U.S. He's from Brazil, and he came here just for the Ann Arbor Film Festival. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your background as a filmmaker and what led you to Ann Arbor?
I was interested in studying the potence of image, the power of image relating cinema and painting. So I think I'm going to a different way when you think about cinema as an industry, and the cross. I'm studying in the crossing of these two languages, Mm-hmm. So I think Flowers, that my film that will be in Night Out competition, make this related these two different languages, mm-hmm. cinema and painting. And I was also studying the hybrid forms in cinema, the fiction and documentary. So it will be screened on Thursday, 28th at 7:15 p.m.
So Flowers is the name of it?
Yes.
And so is it animation or is it actual video? Or?
It's a live action film, and I work with sequence plans like blocks. It's a different logic of the classical cinema, and explore the texture of the image, the tactility, and the colors. I think the cinema not only as narrative, but I think that is sensorial ways to make the movie.
So what led you to the Ann Arbor Film Festival all the way from Brazil? What made you want to submit to this festival?
Oh, because it's one of the most important film festivals in the world that works with experimentation in cinema. So I am a huge admirer from a long time from Ann Arbor Film Festival, and I'm very excited to be here and It's a huge opportunity to be here and to know people from different countries and different filmmakers with their cultural baggage. And I think that will be an incredible time.
So, is this your first time with a film in the Ann Arbor Film Festival? Is this your?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is my first time in Ann Arbor Film Festival. This is my first movie as an author. Like I directed, made the script, and edited the movie.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing that your first time doing this on your own, you got it into the Ann Arbor Film Festival.
Thanks. It's the U.S. premiere of my movie and my first time in U.S. as well.
What are you most looking forward to this week while you're here in Ann Arbor?
Oh, to change, affect with people and know different cultures and also meet filmmakers to know what they are doing in different parts of the world. I think it's a great opportunity.
So I came from sculpture originally, but I got into moving image work, but I also sometimes make installation work as well, which incorporates sculpture. Ann Arbor is one of those festivals I've heard about for years and years. This is the first time I've applied. I never thought I'd get in, and I did. So it's really well respected and really well thought of in the UK. So yeah, I had a go and yeah, I got in, so I'm absolutely delighted.
So this was your first time trying and you got in?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
I was over the moon, yeah.
So you were like, there's no way I'm not going to the festival this year, right?
Oh, absolutely. I bought my ticket straight away, yeah.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your film that people can see at this year's festival?
Okay, so it's a short film. It's about 6 minutes and it's shot, I live in East London. And in East London, there's a lot of regeneration going on. So there's lots of new blocks of flats, particularly after the Olympics 2012. So the site of my film, the location, is the Olympic Park and all the new residential blocks that have been built there. Mm-hmm. And it's a strange place. It's a very odd kind of community because it's top down rather than roots up. Mm-hmm. And it's very corporate. And I cycle through it to go to work, and I observed it for, I've observed the changes over many years. And then I decided I was going to make a film there. So I kind of crept down, or I went down at twilight, and I was always looking for clear skies on a summer day. And I wanted the film to originally start as a sort of aspirational film, like an estate agent would sell to you. Mm-hmm. And then gradually the light fades, and then everyone's windows become illuminated, and it takes on a sort of darker kind of presence. And the camera... Well, I filmed it undercover, and I'm filming actually into people's domestic lives, into their windows, because the whole space it feels quite patrolled. It feels like there are a lot of CCTV cameras there and security guards, so it's a kind of take on that, really. Yeah, people being watched, and yeah.
So you say you filmed it undercover, so those people did not know you were filming?
That's correct.
Wow, that's pretty risque on your part.
Yeah, it is, but no one's really doing. I mean, I'm not interested in anything salacious or anything like that. It was making a statement, really, and people's their activities is everyone's either watching television or they're on their phones, so it's all quite dull and boring. So it's a kind of bland activity that's going on.
Yeah, just like the mundane, everyday life, sort of.
Yeah, which is a little bit like the actual residential space itself. It's quite bland.
Yeah.
So it's got that, but it's got quite an edge to it as well, so a kind of darker edge as well.
What are you most looking forward to while you're here during Festival Week?
Meeting and connecting with the other filmmakers, yeah.
So you haven't seen anything from the Ann Arbor Film Festival yet because it's your first year here, right? You've never come before.
Yeah.
So why should people come? Why do you think people should come see these experimental films like what you've made here today?
Because I think that it shows a different side of life, and I think it shows a kind of politicized side of life, things that we don't regularly see on the news channels. So I think people should come and be prepared to be open and to talk and to debate.
I'm here with Paul Sutherland, and he's a big fan of the Ann Arbor Film Festival. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you going to the Ann Arbor Film Festival and why you like it so much?
Well, for me, it's almost an escape from reality. Not to make reality sound so bleak, but when I started really going to the festival, meaning taking days off work and just living in the theater for 5 days, it became a vacation right in my own town, almost, so to speak. So it really has a lot to do with that, just sort of entering into a different world for a few days and getting to live there. Coming back is always a little hard at the end, but other than that, it's a great experience.
So do you feel like you get inspiration for your own work while you're viewing these festivals?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's not to say I always get around to making it like I should, but that's my own problem. I've gone as far as to keep a notebook with me sometimes at the screenings, just so by the end of these collections of films, one screening could be upwards of 7 films or maybe one feature-length one. Either way, I'll have all these ideas, and it's like they're gone if you don't keep track of them sometimes. It's sort of like these are films where it's like it's actually rewarding to let your mind wander. It's almost like, oh, I'm not paying attention to the film. In my first year, that was kind of my reaction, and then the second year, I realized that the film was actually feeding my mind wandering into all these interesting directions. So that's a rather long way of answering yes, but a lot of inspiration can come from this if you open yourself up to it.
What do you most look forward to when you come to the festival every year?
Ooh, what I most look forward to, that is difficult to narrow down. I think what I most look forward to that's unique to the festival is, well, we can get, especially these days, we can get access to film and experimental work and abstract work all over the place, but it's hard to see it curated like this, and it's hard to really share it with so many other people in a again, this is a bit of an extreme way of putting it, but a safe space, because experimental and abstract work, it's out there. So sometimes if we're shy artists like I can be sometimes, it's a little intimidating to be so vocal and out there about it and find a community on your own, whereas you come here and the community is here and you just fit right into it, and all of a sudden it's not this strange thing that I'm into because I'm weird, you know what I mean? And I look forward to that. That's a unique space to be in for those 5 days that I don't really quite have on the same level the rest of the year.
Hi, I'm here with LNZ and Jonathan, and they are brother and sister collaborators. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you guys got into collaborating in film together?
Well, we started making films together since like high school, just with, the digital camera, family digital camera. And then you ended up studying film in college, and then I did too, but more in an experimental way. And then after school, we just kept making stuff. And here,
inevitably fell into it. It was one of those things where we were never consciously let's do it, blood pack. It was just I don't know, we keep doing this thing and we both enjoy it. So, and it just naturally happened. Yeah.
It's strange how that works out, because I know growing up I worked at a movie theater, and at the time I didn't think I'd be working in television, but it kind of segued into that. It's just kind of where life leads you.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me about the film? Do you have a film in the festival this year?
Yeah, we have a visual album, and it's an emoticon heart, so it's supposed to just be red and felt. It's hard to say out loud an emoticon, but and then we also have a short, one of the last videos in the visual album. It's called 2 Missed Calls. That's playing as well. So yeah, it's
cool. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, one's a feature and one's a short. So
wow, that's awesome. Is this your first time in the Ann Arbor Film Festival, or have you been in it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very excited to be here though.
So first time, and you got 2 films in right off the bat?
Yeah, it's cool.
It's kind of crazy, yeah.
Where are you guys from? Are you local, or?
Northern Virginia. He just recently moved to Brooklyn, and I sort of split time between there and Northern Virginia.
Yeah,
so.
if you're collaborators, you need to spend some time together, right?
Yeah.
So why did you want to submit to the Ann Arbor Film Festival? What makes you think this festival's special?
Well, I come from an experimental film background, so I just always sort of knew about Ann Arbor, just because of the history of the festival and how long it's been around. So I obviously wanted to submit. I didn't expect to get in, but I'm very happy that I did. So.
Did you want to add anything?
No, it's exciting. Yeah, it's cool. I did not expect to get in either, but
you get so many rejections all the time that like when you get in, it's like whoa. And to something like Ann Arbor
of this caliber, you're like, oh, this is amazing. It's just it's awesome.
What are you most looking forward to while you're here?
Just watching films for a week, just like being around filmmakers, and I make a lot of my work for the internet, so the community of film in that regard, it's very different. But like, just being for a full week in a theater with everyone who's like making stuff, it's very exciting.
Are you excited to watch your own film on this big screen at the Michigan Theater?
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's got to be nice to sort of see a reaction from people, because a lot of times, like you said, it's on the internet. You might get like a comment here and there, but you're not seeing people's faces when they're watching your work.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very different screening experience, that's for sure. Yeah. So it's different when you have like 100 people in a room compared to a person alone in a bedroom with a laptop. So excited.
I'm here with Gary Schwartz, and he was just telling me that he's a part of the history of the Ann Arbor Film Festival. Why don't you allude on that a little bit more, Gary?
See, in 1983, I won a top award here, a short animated film called Animus. And the award that you would receive back then, they took your 16 millimeter film and they edited it right into the big reel that would travel around the country to all the colleges and universities.
So have you had any other films in the festival since then, or you just come every year?
I've had a lot of installation art in the festival over the years. I used to live in LA, and then I moved to Detroit.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background and what kind of led you towards the installation and film and all that?
Okay, when I was probably about 3 years old, I used to press my face against the old Dumont black and white television, and even when I was 3, I wanted to be on the other side of that cathode ray tube. And I finally moved to California, became an animation director. I finally figured out how to get on the other side of the cathode ray tube.
That's actually really funny. It reminds me of my own childhood I would watch cartoons, and I actually thought you could like get into the TV somehow to like be with those people. So it kind of reminds me of that sort of part of myself too.
I put my nose right up there, and I would turn the TV off and watch. And this is a black and white TV from the early 50s. Mm-hmm. It would slowly decay into a blue dot and go away. I'd turn it on, and I'd watch it go. Then I'd turn it off, and then Dad would come downstairs and yell at me for turning the TV on and off.
I think this sounds like a film that could be in the festival right now.
I think so.
Why do you keep coming back year after year? Why do you like this festival?
Because this festival is the culmination of a world culture of people who think about pushing the boundaries and the limitations of media.
What are you doing when you talk about you've had installations here? What do you do to push those boundaries?
My work is about taking the ephemera that's been forgotten and lost, recombining it, and putting it out there again.
So what do you most look forward to when you're here at the festival during this week?
Actually, the thing I look most forward to is meeting people just like you.
Oh, well, thank you, Gary. And why should you tell people to come? Maybe people that aren't, filmmakers, maybe people that just want to come see something.
Well, we need appreciators, and we need people to help absorb the stories that are being told.
I'm here with Tom Bray, and he's the technical director for the Ann Arbor Film Festival. Why don't you first tell me what that means? What does the technical director do?
So there's a lot of different technologies involved in the festival. We have, of course, actual film that we show on the screen. I got involved in the festival in 2006, shortly after they started trying to screen digital things. This was when DV was just coming out as the new inexpensive movie-making medium. And so they were getting all these digital entries. And a couple of things happened. The number of entries went from hundreds to thousands, and they were unclear how to move forward with all this digital stuff. So then Dean of the School of Art at the University of Michigan, Ryan Rogers, was involved with the festival. I knew him. I work at the University of Michigan. I'm faculty at the Stamp School of Art and Design. And he said, you need to fix this. So supporting the Ann Arbor Film Festival became part of my University of Michigan job, which is pretty cool. So I know a lot about digital technology, so I got them sorted out on that. So long before we had digital cinema, we were screening digital files. For the first couple of years I was here, everything came off videotape, but it was Betacam, professional videotape, everything got transferred, but I was getting entries from all over the world. And then I started getting HD entries, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can put all this stuff into Final Cut Pro and just play it out on my computer, and it worked perfectly. One other festival producer who came up and saw this, I'm told, referred to me as a mad genius. I'll take that, I'll take it. But anyway, it worked great. And we use some different tools now. We don't play out of editing timelines, but it's the same thing. We have probably maybe a quarter of the stuff is on film, a quarter of the stuff, or a bit more than a quarter, is DCP, and the rest of it is all digital files played from computers.
Yeah, it's interesting how that sort of wave happens, and I was wondering if you even really got film anymore, but I think some people like to use film just to get that sort of effect that you're getting from film.
And some of the digital files we have are originated on film, but have been digitally transferred to DCP or to whatever, so it's more easily accessible. But that's just the part of what you see on screen. There's a lot more to do with being the technical director. So we have what we call the off-the-screen stuff, some of which is here behind us. We have a virtual reality display. We have 3 rooms with student film work. We have 4 different installations at the Ann Arbor Arts Center, and we have an after party every night, all of which need to have their technical details dealt with. So I do a lot of that advanced work. I do a lot of troubleshooting. I do a lot of coordinating of resources. I also advise the festival as we move forward to buy new technology, what to get and why we should get that instead of something else. Pretty much I tell them I'm a good person to ask first about anything.
You're a jack of all trades.
I prefer Renaissance man, but yes.
Okay, you're a Renaissance man. Have you ever made films and submitted them into the festival, or?
I actually, as a film group when I was an undergraduate, I went to as an undergraduate at University of Michigan. We submitted a film that did not get accepted. Good choice on their part, but you got to submit, right? So I've never had anything screened at the festival except as the technical director, where if something interesting catches my eye, I'm allowed to make a little reel to play during Winter's Night about some new technology or something interesting, and those are fun. But people ask me a lot of times as I'm working with different artists, getting them set up. So wow, do you have any work out there online? I said, well, I've been father to a few productions, but midwife to thousands. Because I just make it happen for other people more than anything else. It's a pretty unique event. I mean, you don't see this many different, interesting, challenging movies in one concentrated piece of time anywhere else on the planet, I think. This is really... Apparently there's one older one out there in the galaxy than us, but I just ignore it and say we're the oldest one in the galaxy. But it's really a concentration of a bunch of really fascinating perspectives on the world and ways to express it. Some of them, it's like, okay, I'm going to go get popcorn now. But for the most part, it's like, wow, some of the most mind-bending things that I've seen have been at the festival. Usually every year there's something amazing that just I remember. So that and the fact that there's so much going on, this allows me to flex a lot of my technical muscles that don't get this much exercise most of the time.
Well, thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
And enjoy the festival.
One other point. I was on the cable commission for many years and the cable commissioner for 4.
Oh, well, so you were part of CTN, too.
Right. So, hi, CTN.
We're always looking for new cable commissioners.
Yeah.
You have a film and an installation. So why don't you tell me about your film first?
Sure. So my film is in a competition in the main program. It's called Dance for Your Daddy. And it's set in a claustrophobic attic space. It's kind of a dance film, except the choreography is made through the edit. So it looks like you're looking at a static body, and the frame rate of the edit makes this kind of impossible acrobat that's thrown around the attic in every which way, a bit like a poltergeist.
Wow, that's terrifying.
My work is a little creepy. Yes.
Is it so? It kind of is a play off other works that you've done in the past, or?
Yeah, all of my works kind of come with the same starting point, a female figure in a kind of contained or confined space, and what they're doing with their body in some way echoes the space, or maybe they're making a kind of system or relationship between their body, some objects in the space. But there's always this kind of ambivalence about what the subject is doing there, like if she's in control of the scene, if she's in control of the world, or if the world is in some way confining her.
So what sort of attracted you to wanting to do stuff with the human body?
Pure sort of random luck and instinct. I bought a video camera when I was 20 on my way to go and live and study in Venice, where I had this romantic idea I was going to sculpt marble by a canal in a headscarf. And I was on my own in a hotel for a week, finding my feet, and I got out this camera. And stuff just started happening, and the vocabulary that I still work on, 15 years later, was all just born in these sort of early experiments.
Wow, that's amazing that it kind of turned into what it did for you.
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell me about the installation? Is it did the two pieces go together at all?
They only go together in as much as there's a feeling that in each video of mine, you're looking at a fragment of a much larger world, but there's no sort of, let's say, narrative sense or connection. I mean, sometimes I'll repeat locations or I'll repeat costumes to kind of tie some things closer. When I stage my work as an installation, I'm generally staging it as a one-to-one encounter. So for me, it's very important to think about the viewer's body in relation to the screen and in relation to the screen as another body. So you go through some red velvet curtains into the old phone booth in the lobby, and you encounter this kind of fragmented woman who's sticking up through a school desk with like parts of her legs dangling underneath, so her whole torso is missing. She's holding a magnifying glass over her mouth, so you get a view onto the super enlarged mouth that's spinning and twisting and flipping, while a strange kind of childish language runs over the top. And then there's another pair of legs waiting in the background to maybe kind of replace her child legs, like she's a mannequin who can just be developed.
Do you find you like doing that more interactive work? Because that sounds like really cool to kind of be a part of that.
I think of them sort of same but different. So it's quite unusual for me to have work in a film festival. That's sort of new in the last 2 years, and it's a really wonderful format to be exposed and inspired by different things. But quite often, whether it's a sort of large screen piece or a small monitor that I'm asking you to engage with, I'm still thinking of you, the viewer, as somehow implicated in the scene, whether like a voyeur, a witness, an accomplice, but that sort of confrontation and empathy runs through it all.
So is this your first time at the Ann Arbor Film Festival?
It is, yes.
So was this the first time you submitted to the festival too?
Yes.
And you got 2 pieces in.
Yes.
So how did it feel?
Wonderful. Yes, I mean, I met Leslie at a film festival I was in last May in Scotland, and we stayed in touch, and she very much helped me develop the possibilities for the installation. She mentioned this phone booth and its red velvetness, and I said, well, it just so happens I've shot this strange piece that exists in a red velvet world, so what if we extended that world into the phone booth? So that was just perfect. And then for the main program, I just chose a couple of pieces that would work at that scale, and one's been accepted, so it's very exciting.
For more on this and other series, visit a2gov.org/watchctn and check out our full lineup at youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor. And remember to like, comment, and share. I'm Dana Denha for Let's Watch with the Ann Arbor Film Festival.